Good afternoon and welcome to NTV at ONE. My name is Dan Mwangi. We begin in Turkana, and the rains continue to pound many parts of that county, and floods have caused more suffering to families in different villages, with many spending nights in the cold. The most affected villages in Lodwar are Nakomikwe, Kanamkwer and a few others, and meanwhile in Kilifi County, hundreds of families have been displaced by floods.
The roads connecting Lodwar and Kitale are submerged. Several bridges have been swept away, paralyzing transport, leaving trucks carrying foodstuffs stranded for days. Many passengers traveling to and from Lodwar are also affected and spending the night in the cold. Benson Leshorney, a resident at Namariat, blames a Chinese construction company that he says has interfered with the flow of water.
Kuna drift ambayo wameweka culvert na waliweka kitambo, ndio walianzia kwa vile barabara ilianza tu kutengenezwa, ndio walianzia naye hao Chinese wenye wanajenga barabara hapa hivi. Sasa maji ilikuwa tu mvua ikinyesha, maji ina flow inaingia, kuna mali yake natural flow inaingia mpaka hapo hivyo, inaenda inakusanyika.
Meanwhile, hundreds of families in Malindi, Kilifi County have lost their homes and crops after River Sabaki burst its banks.
Sababu hii ilikuwa ni nyumba hii, inabidi tuvunje ile na ile, kwa hivyo hapa ilikuwa ni nyumba, fikiri ni ngapi? Nyumba tano. Nyumba tano hapa.
Kifika usiku vile kuna bomoka, ni hali ngumu. Kiasi cha kuwa hatujui tufanye nini. Ndio ikatubidi tuvunje hizi nyumba zetu, tuhame, tukaombe kwa majirani ili tupate nafasi ya kuwa tutaishi. Kama mimi kibinafsi niliomba juu kwa sababu ya kuwa niliomba kanisa wanipe nafasi ili nikae pale kwenye kanisa.
Some of the residents were forced to move to safe grounds as the river continues to cause disaster since last Friday. At Magongoloni area, more than 30 houses were swept away by the raging floods. According to residents, each night there is constant erosion caused by waves of the flood waters, and the damage keeps on deepening. Other villages affected in Kilifi are Maweni, Goshi, Kisiwani Complex, Bate, Langobaya and Chokama. Halima Gongo, NTV.
Now, more than 3,000 households in Budalangi in the county of Busia have been left homeless, while others have been forced to vacate their homes after their houses flooded. Residents are alleging that the extreme floods are as a result of Lake Victoria reaching capacity and unable to hold any more water.
Budalangi is at it once more with flooding and staring at a humanitarian disaster. The area, which has suffered disastrous floods annually since the 1960s, had gotten relief for the last few years, thanks to improved government interventions. But now, they are back to zero as the ravaging floods have slowly made way into their homes and destroyed property. More than 3,000 people have been left homeless, while others have been forced to vacate their homes after their houses flooded. Residents of Mau Mau, Rukala, Bulwani, Mdimbaya A and B villages in Bunyala South are the most affected. The flooding has been attributed to a water backflow from Lake Victoria. Residents are blaming the siltation of rivers that drain Lake Victoria to be the cause of the backflow, since water does not flow smoothly into the lake.
Kwa sababu haya inapokuja inakuta yale ambayo iko katika lake ya Victoria iko juu, sasa haiwezi kuteremka. Ni lazima itatafuta njia ingine mubadala ya kupenya na kuflow juu ama kupasua ingie katika mashamba za watu, maboma za watu.
Sasa ninaona ni kama maji imezidi kiwango ya wananchi kuzuia. Ndio sababu nimeamua kutangazia watu sasa hali ya hatari ya kwamba waanje kuhama wakienda mahali ambao wanaweza kujizuia kidogo.
The residents want the county government to speed up the building of dikes which will be able to prevent flooding in the area. The affected families say they have nowhere to go as the level of water keeps on rising every moment.
Tumeungana mchana huu wa leo ili tuweke huu udongo, tuone kwamba kama unaweza shikilia kidogo.
Wengine wajaribu kuleta hiyo tractor, wengine ikuje inaweza saidia wananchi, kwa sababu sasa wananchi tunatumia na mikono kubeba udongo na kuja kuziba hapa.
They are calling upon the government to come to their rescue.
And now we move into matters of COVID-19. And even before we get to that story, we are going to be expecting a press briefing by Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho. And we're likely to see some tougher measures being taken in the county, which has become a serious hotspot, a serious point of concern, even as far as the health CS Mutahi Kagwe said yesterday. Now let's cross from the coast to now to the other side of Kenya, the western side, and at least 100 people will be tested per day for the coronavirus disease in Busia County as the county embarks on a mass testing program. Speaking during the installation of the county's polymerase reaction machine at Busia County Referral Hospital, Governor Sospita Ojamong says results will be available in 6 hours. The initial testing will encompass healthcare workers, truck drivers and hotel workers, and thereafter the mass testing will be open to the rest of the public.
Staff has been trained, the national government, and they're still here training them, and we hope to get more and more qualified staff. Apart from this, we are also in talks with Kemri to have a mass testing exercise also at Alupe, Kemri. That machine can do 10,000 tests in a day.
Let's now go to some agriculture, and Kenya Seed Company has raised alarm of a looming shortage of seed due to a shortfall in production of acreage. Now, the production acreage, I beg your pardon, the government corporation tasked with producing and marketing top quality certified seeds has announced a shortfall of 7,000 acres that has not been put under production this year. Poor weather, attacks by pests and neglect of seed production by farmers have been attributed to the shortage. New Kenya Seed Managing Director Fred Oloibe says that despite the myriad of challenges they are facing, they have set up new strategies to ensure the production rebounds. He was speaking during an inspection of seed farm blocks in Birunda in Saboti constituency.
We were able to increase the prices a bit for the growers, and going forward, this is something we'll be reviewing from time to time. One of the other strategies is to be able to visit these farmers the way we've done today and across all the country in the areas that we do production, so that we can be able to understand their issues well in time.
As you can imagine, there being shortage of seeds is a concern, especially in these COVID-19 days where food security is on the spotlight and the fears of the same getting worse. And now, speaking of COVID-19, we cross over to county number 001, where our Coast Regional reporter Kevin Mutai is standing by. Kevin, you could give us a brief. We hear that the county governor is meant to be speaking to the press and just to the public by extension. Do you have any idea of what exactly is meant to be addressed, and will he be alone or will there be representation of the national government? Kevin.
Well, of course, yes, Dan. What the governor, together with the county commissioner, they're yet to talk about is the issue of the community transmission with regards to COVID-19. Old Town has become a center of focus here, with the health authorities raising an alarm over the spread of the virus, which has in the recent weeks gone up exponentially, and this is a worrying trend that the health authorities are even proposing stronger measures in order to curb the spread of the virus. Yesterday, Governor Ali Hassan Joho even said that they were in deliberations with the national government and the Ministry of Health to lock down that part of the Mombasa, that is near the Central Business District, in a bid to restrict people from moving, because right now community transmission of the virus is something that is now becoming more, it's being witnessed in that particular region, and the health authorities are saying that the only way to contain the virus is by limiting people from interactions, because also there's an issue of the cultural, the traditions, and of course also the household setups, because some of the sources that we spoke to, they're saying that in a family setup, for instance, you can find even up to a maximum of even 8 people in one single house. And they're saying that this kind of setup is the one that is contributing to the spread of this virus. And remember the containment. The county is under containment, and there are approximately, let's say, 1.3 million people in the island. This is an island, so if stronger measures are not being put in place, done, then I can tell you that this could, we could be heading to worst situation, because we're seeing that people are continuously interacting within Mombasa, and we don't know who's sick, we don't know who's not. But the county is saying that the only way for them to try and limit this virus is by using isolation. This means that they're tracing people who had already, they'll be found to be positive for the virus, and of course isolating them. But of course also there have been challenges in trying to do this, because then we're seeing the number of people volunteering to have their samples taken. One thing they're afraid of is the fees that they are yet to be charged, because according to the information that we received yesterday, is that previously they were supposed to be charged for the 14 days time that they'll be in quarantine. But what we got from the regional commissioner John Elungata yesterday, saying that that the county government has volunteered to give an incentive and even pay for the isolation fees for the vulnerable people who might not be able to get at least the 2,000 shillings required per day to cater for the isolation. But what we know so far is that the county right now is tracing, and it's a worrying trend. And remember, yesterday we had 11 confirmed cases for COVID-19. Mombasa has a total of 119 confirmed cases for the virus. So it is an exercise that we're expecting to go, moving forward with, of course, health authorities focusing now on, that particular area in Vita constituency, that is in the larger Vita constituency. But of course also right now, what we also know that the governor, who is yet to speak to the press and address the residents, is that together with the health authorities, they even appealing to members of the public to come up to turn up in large numbers, because what we know is that there are 2 centers that have been provided for testing, and one is in Makadara and the other one is in Vita. And of course we expect to see, like yesterday we had 53 people who had turned up, remember, in the larger region, because it has a lot of people crossing all over from Likoni, working in various parts of Mombasa. So these are something that we believe that the governor is yet going forward, put in place some of the things that perhaps we expect to be followed by the residents going forward with regards to fighting, rather stemming the spread of the pandemic.
Thank you very much, Kevin Mutai. And it'll be interesting to see what measures the county government can take, because some of the extreme measures are only implementable, or rather directable by the national government and the president, to be specific. So we wait to see what happens as we wait for that governor. Let's talk about another governor still in the fight against COVID-19. And Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu has sharply differed with the County Assembly Speaker George Ndoto over delayed hiring of extra health workers to boost the fight against the coronavirus pandemic in the county. Ngilu has accused the Assembly of failure to vet and approve nominees to the County Public Service Board, thereby making it impossible to hire the medics as directed by the national government. The county chief added that the situation had prompted the Public Service Commission to take up the hiring exercise of the additional medics, who will then be posted there. Now, but in a quick rejoinder, Speaker Ndoto said that blame lays squarely on the county executive, which he accused of delaying appointment of the nominees. In late March, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe announced plans for contractual engagement of over 5,000 health workers across 47 counties to help stem the spread of COVID-19 in Kenya. Kitui has so far reported 3 positive cases of coronavirus infection, with 2 of the patients having already recovered.
The only option that we have as a county is to get our people hired at the national level by the Public Service Commission. They have been having our nominees since the 14th of February.
And within 2 months, when we are trying to follow the procedure and a very difficult situation of the pandemic, we have been blaming the government that we are delaying. Surely this is not correct.
The sad reality of such wrangles is that the person who is going to be the most affected is the common mwananchi. Not a very flowery situation there, but from State House was a flowery conversation, and President Uhuru Kenyatta on Friday defended the government's move to send flowers to the United Kingdom, terming it as a good marketing strategy. Speaking during a low-key televised Labor Day celebration at State House, Nairobi, President Kenyatta said sending the 300 bouquets to medics in the UK was a gesture of goodwill and aimed at helping the country retain its market post-coronavirus pandemic. UK, that's the United Kingdom, not Uhuru Kenyatta, is one of Kenya's top markets for cut flowers, a consumption that has seen export earnings grow tremendously, with flower exports contributing 113 billion shillings in 2018.
Jameni, nilicheka juzi nikaona wengine wako hapo wakisema Uhuru afanya makosa, atuma maua kwa wazungu. Jameni, unajua hayo maua ambaye tumetuma corona itaisha. Hayo maua yaandika wafanyikazi maelfu na maelfu na maelfu ya Wakenya. And they say watu wanakumbukwa wakati wa shida. Tukiwa tumewatuma huko na wanaona hii imetoka Kenya, wakati soko itafunguliwa, mtu akienda kununua maua, kitu cha kwanza atafikiria ule alinikumbuka wakati ya shida, uko ndio mimi naenda kununua maua yangu. Think before you start talking nonsense on this social media of yours.
Well, that's UK defending his gift to UK. And well, it's flowery, but his mood was not as flowery. But nonetheless, we wait to see whether this will actually bear the fruit that he hopes. And because we believe we'll get past coronavirus pandemic, and we shall wait to see whether we'll get that kind of favor by the United Kingdom in as far as the flower market goes, because they're a significant contributor to our income as a country. Now let's come back home from the UK and to West Pokot, where residents are staring at a looming hunger crisis as food shortage bites in the wake of floods, mudslides and the COVID-19 pandemic. The county has been battling intense floods and mudslides which have so far killed 37 people and hundreds displaced in Chesegon area along the West Pokot and Elgeyo-Marakwet border. The pastoralist county majorly depends on cheap food from Uganda, but now with the neighboring countries' borders closed, many have been left struggling to have a meal. The county leaders are now asking for prompt intervention from the government.
Kama serikali ilikuwa na mipango ya kupatia watu chakula, hasa sehemu ambayo watu wanategemea kuuza mifugo katika soko ambayo sasa imefungwa. Mimi nataka serikali ifanye kwa haraka, chakula hiyo ikuje ili tuweze kusaidia watu wetu wasife na njaa.
Now, more than 6,000 vulnerable families across Westlands constituency, that's in Nairobi County, benefited from a food distribution program launched by well-wishers. Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi partnered with various organizations in the area, including Kenbarti Kenya, Rajasthan Rajput Associations and Premium Temple, to distribute the food items that included flour and cooking oil. Majority of the population are residents from informal settlements situated in Kangemi and whose small-scale and Juakali businesses have greatly been affected since measures to contain the pandemic were introduced by the government. According to the organizers, the food distribution program is expected to last for at least 3 months with an aim of sustaining the vulnerable during the peak period of the pandemic. Let's stay with food now, and two Thika-based farms have donated 50 million shillings to help support the less fortunate Kenyans who have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Broadway's Bakery Limited and Couple Industries Limited have handed over their donations to the Emergency Response Fund and the Kiambu County Government. Now, Kiambu Governor James Nyoro received the county emergency funds, while Jeremy Awoli and Narendra Raval received the donations on behalf of the Emergency Response Fund. That's Jeremy Awori, I beg your pardon. Kiambu County will receive 1,000 bales of flour, while Embu, Isiolo, Kirinyaga, Kitui, Makueni, Nyeri, Laikipia, Meru, Murang'a, Nakuru, Nyandarua, Tharaka Nithi and Uasin Gishu counties will receive 500 bales each to support needy families. We'll now take a short break on NTV at ONE. We've got more stories for you after the break. Be sure to stay tuned.
rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye bye rashes. Bye diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Sonadol Extra imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli kupambana haraka na maumivu ya kichwa, mwili na hata meno. Sonadol Extra, hakika maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Mount Kenya University takes pride in being an academic giant with some of the best infrastructure, imparting knowledge to the best brains in the country and the region. Our members of faculty are keen to deliver market-driven programs in science and humanities with a keen focus on linkages with relevant organizations. We admit both self-sponsored and government-sponsored students under the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service. Join us today and train with the best to become the best. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Welcome back to NTV at ONE. Now, more than 40 coronavirus cases have been recorded in an overcrowded military prison outside DR Congo's capital, Kinshasa. And South Africa has begun to gradually loosen its strict lockdown in regards to coronavirus, allowing some industries to reopen after 5 weeks of restrictions that plunged its struggling economy deeper into turmoil.
At least 41 coronavirus cases have been recorded in an overcrowded military prison outside DR Congo's capital, Kinshasa. Health Minister Etienne Longondo said that prisoners at the Ndolo jail were still being tested, but he expected the number of cases to rise. Longondo said the current hypothesis was that a woman who came to leave food at the jail had transmitted the virus. The government said on April 8th that at least 1,200 prisoners had been released in order to help stop the virus spread. To date, Congo has reported 572 confirmed cases, almost all in Kinshasa, and 31 deaths. Elsewhere, to combat the economic destruction, South Africa has started to gradually loosen its strict coronavirus lockdown, allowing some industries to reopen after 5 weeks of restrictions that plunged its struggling economy deeper into turmoil. Around 1.5 million workers in selected industries return to work in the next phase under strict health conditions, according to Trade and Industry Minister Ibrahim Patel. Winter clothing, textile and packaging manufacturing are among the industries permitted to reopen factories. Gabon says it was relaxing a 2-week-old coronavirus lockdown in the capital city and 3 neighboring areas. With 3 deaths and 176 cases among its 2 million population, half of whom live in the capital, Prime Minister said some restrictions would be scaled back. Some shops and hair salons would be allowed to reopen, he said, but travel beyond the city and its environs would remain prohibited to avoid contagion to other provinces. Schools, restaurants and places of worship will remain closed. Wearing masks will be compulsory and a curfew will remain in place from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Africa to the world, the rest of the world that is, and the experimental drug Remdesivir has been authorized by the United States regulators for emergency use against COVID-19, President Donald Trump announced on Friday. It comes after the antiviral made by Gilead Sciences was shown in a major clinical trial to shorten the time of recovery in some coronavirus patients, the first time any medicine has had a proven benefit against the disease. It found that hospitalized COVID-19 patients with respiratory distress got better 31% faster than those on a placebo. The company has announced it was donating 1.5 million doses for free. This amounts to about 140,000 treatment courses based on a 10-day treatment duration. Remdesivir, which is administered by an injection, was already available in some patients who enrolled in clinical trials or who sought it out on a compassionate use basis. Now, the new move allows it to be distributed far more widely and used in both adults and children who are hospitalized with a severe form of COVID-19. Now let's move on to Asia, and North Korea's Kim Jong-un has made his first public appearance in nearly 3 weeks following intense speculation that the leader of the nuclear-armed nation was seriously ill or possibly dead. State media reported that Kim had attended the opening of a fertilizer factory and released pictures it said showed the leader cutting a ribbon at the ceremony on Friday in Suncheon, north of Pyongyang, although the appearance could not be verified. His absence triggered a series of fevered rumors and unconfirmed reports over his condition, while the United States and South Korea insisted they had no information to believe any of the conjecture was true. His sudden death would have left Pyongyang facing an unplanned succession for the first time in its history and raised unanswered questions over who would succeed him and take over the North's nuclear arsenal. NASA and SpaceX have said they are pressing ahead with plans to launch astronauts to space from U.S. soil for the first time in a decade later this month, despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Veterans of the Space Shuttle program that was shuttered in 2011 will blast off from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida on May 27th. NASA administrator told reporters that the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule will be only the 5th class of U.S. spacecraft to take human beings into orbit after the storied Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and Space Shuttle programs. The mission is a major milestone for SpaceX, the company founded by billionaire Elon Musk, who also leads and founded Tesla.
Won't have, the luxury of our family and friends being there at Kennedy to watch the launch, but it's the right thing to do in the current environment.
Right, from the NASA story, we now get to NASA some information on sports with Ida Waringa.
No pun intended. A very good afternoon to you, and hoping your weekend has gotten off to a good start. Time for sport, as Dan has put it. Well, Kenyan football is still reeling from effects of the Football Kenya Federation's decision to cancel the 2019-2020 league season. Consequently, Gor Mahia were awarded their 4th Kenyan Premier League title in a row, while Nairobi City Stars were promoted to the top tier. City Stars were previously atop the National Super League standings with 43 points after 18 rounds. That was 7 points ahead of second-placed Bidco United.
The work that we did before is what has gotten us to the top, and by merit, City Stars deserve to be promoted, although we would not have liked it in this way, but nonetheless, we worked hard. Today, if things were normal, we'd be playing Modern Coast today in the 4th last game of the season.
Football Federation had no alternative apart from making a final decision and awarding the winners. We were hoping to achieve that anyway because we had a big lead, and so it's just a shame it's finished this way. We were hoping for a grand finale and have a big celebration.
Interesting times indeed in Kenyan football. While cancelling the current English Premier League season was not up for discussion in Friday's video conference call involving league stakeholders. Now, neutral venues were fronted as the only way to complete the season, with up to 10 stadiums proposed for use. The Premier League would also need up to 40,000 tests for players and staff if plans to play the 92 outstanding games behind closed doors are pursued. The Premier League, which has been suspended since 13th March, said in a statement that it would only return to training and playing with government guidance. All from England to Germany, and FC Cologne have had 3 members of staff test positive for coronavirus, even as plans continue to have the Bundesliga become one of the first football leagues to return to action. The German side recently returned to training in groups and had the entire playing squad, as well as the coaching and backroom staff, tested for the virus just this week. Now, despite Cologne reporting the 3 cases, the club revealed its training will continue as usual ahead of the German top flight league return. Now, the government recently announced that the decision on league resumption has been delayed until May 6th. Well, this next one will definitely catch your eye. Former world heavyweight champion Mike Tyson has proven that while form might be temporary, class is definitely permanent in a viral video that shows him doing some pad work. Now, the clip, which has so far garnered over 5 million views, shows Tyson's fearsome hand speed and power, which gained him the reputation as one of the most destructive heavyweight boxers of all time. The 53-year-old is targeting a charity exhibition bout. The former unified heavyweight world champion won 50 out of 58 fights during a storied career considered among the best ever. Well, I want to put it to Dan before the end of the bulletin. Dan, look, Tyson is 53 years old. Would you get into a ring with him for $1 million with that sort of punch?
Yeah, I mean, not to fight. For a selfie, that's fine, and I'll make my quick money. And you know, I'm glad when you introduced that story, you said it's going to catch your eye. I'm glad it had nothing to do with the ear when it comes to Tyson.
Wow, wow. I hope a lot of people caught that because I could see what you've done there.
Yeah, and I see you didn't even give him a sound bite. Nonetheless,
Oh,
thank you,
my
Ida
goodness.
Waringa, for giving us the sports news. My name is Dan Mwangi. Thank you for joining us. On NTV at 1, we'll have more news at 7 and 9 p.m. And once again, we are still appreciating the health workers, the frontliners in this battle against the COVID-19 pandemic here at the Nation Media Group and the country at large. Give yourself a great afternoon.
Allah!